Hi, everyone. I wanted to remind you of a must read. This is a book that you have to have on your bookshelf. It is called The Necktie and the Jaguar by Greer. He is able to help you make important decisions, give you some guidance on which path to take, and you get to learn how he tapped into the wisdom and power of the unseen worlds for guidance and inspiration. I had the opportunity to interview him, and he was a lovely guest on the Path 11 podcast, episode 343. Check it out. Listen to the podcast. Go buy the book. Again, it's The Necktie and the Jaguar by Greer. To find out more information, go to his website, carlgreer.com. That's spelled CarlGreer.com. Today's podcast episode is sponsored by the Reconnective Healing Global Community. I don't know if you guys remember, but back in 2020, we released an episode with Dr. Eric Pearl and Jillian Fleer about Reconnective healing. He was a chiropractor who was working in his practice in Los Angeles, and his patients started to report that they were having these healings just with his hands being near them without him actually touching them. So he went on to research and try to find out what this universal wisdom was behind what was happening, and he developed the Reconnective healing process. Their website is thereconnection.com, and they are offering an online level 1 class called The Portal to awaken your own healing ability and to learn how to do this. There's over 8 hours of interactive content where you will learn to interact with energy, light, and information to experience lasting knowingness, peace, and love without limitations. They gave us a coupon code to give to all of our listeners. It is Path2Portal. We're going to put that in the show notes, and that's 25% off of the Portal online level 1 course. I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know if you take it. Send me an email. Would love to know how the course works for you. Hi, and thanks for tuning in to the Path 11 podcast. I am your host, April Hanna. At the Path 11 podcast, we are here trying to deliver leading-edge research on consciousness, healing, and metaphysics. And just like you, we are trying to answer the big questions about life. Who are we? Why are we here? And what is our purpose? We hope by listening to our podcast, it will make each day you live on Earth a little easier to understand. And now for today's podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Throwback Thursday. I wanted to share with you that we have brand new content on Path 11 TV. We have just added a new playlist called Health and Sexuality. So you can find that over at path11tv.com. And I figured this week for our Throwback Thursday, I wanted to share with you a video from a very talented, well-educated man who is a massage therapist in Vancouver. And his name is Ian Faulkner. And this man has a wealth of information, especially when it comes to the sexual health of men. And I would agree with him that this is a topic that really isn't openly talked about amongst men. And I also feel like if we can also educate women more about the sexual health of men, then we have the ability to help them to be able to have these conversations and to share a video like this with men that we love. So let me tell you a little bit about Ian. He has been in the massage therapy business for quite a long time. He has extensive training in non-erotic massage, Trager massage, alternative medicine, and intimacy education. He really offers a full spectrum view to healing and well-being, particularly around sexual health and education for men and women. So this is kind of his favorite area as a body worker to explore with people who are feeling really stuck in their sexuality, which can then in turn affect their physical health. In this 10-minute clip, he is going to introduce you to how important the prostate is. So this is all about prostate health. He talks about herbal supplements. He also gives a great history and rundown of how prostate massage used to be used as a primary treatment and then was banned in Canada and the US. And the treatment for prostate health was now doing surgery and actually taking it out. He also gives a great example of something that he personally went through and had excellent results with some of the work that he now does with his clients. So why don't we go ahead and take a listen to this clip?
It's a taboo topic to discuss sexual issues among men, especially sexual health issues. One thing that men don't realize, and I'll stress this a few times, people think that prostate issues for men are going to be something that happens when they're 80 years old. And so men don't like to even think about it. But the fact is, 30% of men will be suffering from prostate issues by the time they're 30 years old, 40% by the time they're 40 years old, and 50%, one in two men will be suffering from prostate enlargement issues. Now, we're not speaking of cancer. This is a natural process that every man experiences. In puberty, the prostate begins to grow, and it continues growing. And the unfortunate thing is it never stops growing. And eventually, it starts to crowd out other organs. Now, fortunately, there are herbs that have been traditionally used to slow down the growth rate. And back in 1910 or so, when herbal medicine was kind of driven out of medicine, we lost this information, which was known for thousands of years. I'll hold up this card. I'll hold it up several times. These are the key herbs that men should be aware of at a much younger age to prevent the problems of prostate enlargement from occurring prematurely. The first one, saw palmetto, actually prevents the growth. Is that clear? Is that quite clear, the sign? Okay. And pygeum prevents prostate cancer. It allows the body to fight it off. And studies have shown that prostate cancer occurs 30% less often when pygeum is used. It's used quite commonly in Europe. And finally, boron is just a mineral. And this mineral is important because it does several things. It prevents arthritis, reduces the incidence of cancer again, and more important for men's health is it increases the levels of testosterone. So for older men, this is a key herb to use for many reasons. Yeah, so the natural prostate enlargement is something that men will experience. Some of the symptoms that they'll have is slowness of urination, slow for the stream to start. Sometimes a great difficulty in urination. And the standard medical solution is to drill a hole down the urethra and ream it out to get the flow back. But the thing is, for thousands of years, men and people that tended to men relied on prostate massage for relieving the symptoms. And in fact, I'll tell the whole story. It's a very interesting story. Back in the 1890s in England, the English soldiers that were in India, one soldier experienced prostate enlargement to the point where his bladder was going to burst. They didn't happen to have a catheter handy, and he went off to the village in India to see if anyone could help him because the doctor at the base couldn't help him. And he found a practitioner of tantric yoga who suggested prostate massage, which means the massage is in through the anus and you can reach the prostate gland. And the idea is that by massaging it gently and softening it up, the texture of the organ changes and the urine flow starts to work again. Well, he got back to the army base. He just had a nice big dinner. He was very happy, and everyone was astonished to see him that he hadn't died or he wasn't lying on the ground in pain. And he went to the commanding officer and he said, yeah, I discovered this guy and he's completely solved my problem. Well, it spread like the whole idea of prostate massage for treating, and it's called, by the way, benign prostate hyperplasia, the medical name for the enlargement of the prostate. Prostate massage spread like wildfire throughout the British Empire into American medicine and Canadian medicine. And from 1890 to 1961, it was the foundation of the treatment of this problem with the prostate. It was abandoned in both Canada and the US in favor of surgery in 1961. Now, I'm writing a book about all these things, largely inspired by Our Bodies, Ourselves. I wanted there to be a male version of the same thing. So in any case, it was stopped in 1961. I interviewed a guy was in his 90s. He just died at 93 recently. And he remembers the day in 1962 when he went to the doctor's office. In Canada, it was 61. In the States, it was 62, I believe, that they discontinued prostate massage in favor of very invasive surgery. The surgery has many issues. I'll take a break and describe that. Some of the issues with the standard surgical approach is they're drilling a hole right through the prostate gland, in effect, to enlarge the urethra. The urethra passes through the center of the prostate. So they drill it out, sometimes with laser beams, sometimes with cutting tools. And the problem is that you're cutting through part of the prostate in the process. And what happens is there are nerves that can get cut that cause incontinence, they can cause erectile dysfunction, they can cause various problems. So it's a type of surgery to avoid. Now, I'll tell you my personal story. About 8 years ago, I developed these problems to an extreme. And my partner, Barbara, and I, we were going to Quadra Island. And Quadra Island is just halfway up Vancouver Island, a little place we used to like to go to. And I was having this severe urinary blockage. And I was going to cancel the holiday because there was no hospital on the island if I needed a catheter in order to be able to pee successfully. So a few mornings before I left, there was a client for the regular bodywork I do. Actually, I should describe that. I do a regular type of completely non-erotic bodywork based on Trager bodywork, the work of Dr. Milton Trager, that involves gently rocking the body from head to toe. And it's done with wearing yoga clothes. So this is a very effective therapy for helping people with trauma because it's a loving touch and it feels very safe because you're clothed. So anyways, this client, Maurice Cote, who came regularly for sessions, I couldn't make it to her session because I was unable to pee. So I phoned her up and I said I had this problem and I may or may not be able to get there, or else I might have to go to the hospital. So anyways, a few minutes later, I was successful and I rushed down to do the session with her. And she said, much to my surprise, that I'm a tantric therapist and I could have solved your problem with prostate massage. And I had no idea how it worked. So I said, well, what's it like? So she described it. And she said, well, I said, what might it do? She says, well, it might produce an orgasm. And I thought about the guy with his surgical tools drilling a hole, or the other solution being an orgasm. Well, I thought, well, that sounds better. And my partner, Barbara, she says, well, she thought that sounded a lot better too. So I went in the session on Saturday. We were leaving on Monday for the island. And during the session, massage part of the session, it started with regular massage. I had to leave the table 3 times because I had to run and pee in an emergency. Then finally she did the prostate massage and everything relaxed. And I didn't have to get up for the rest of the session. And at the end of the session, I went to the washroom and I peed like a horse. I couldn't believe it. Everything was restored to the way it was about 10 years earlier. So Barbara and I went to Quadra Island and it was like the whole problem was set 10 years in the past and suddenly I didn't have a problem. Now, I'm 72 now. I'm finding that it helps a little bit at this age, but back many years ago, it was an absolutely miraculous solution. And I still do go once a month for regular sessions or whenever I can, but that's the history of my experience.
So thanks for listening to this clip. You can actually watch the full video on path11tv.com. It's about 53 minutes long. He is a wealth of information and goes into much greater detail about the sexual health of men. It's not just about the prostate, but he also talks about other different techniques that can help men in their intimacy and their overall sexual health. And I'm going to give you a code today to get 30% off of your subscription. On checkout, just use TBT30. So you can go ahead and sign up for a 7-day free trial and then put that code in. And then if you decide to continue your subscription, you will get 30% off. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I look forward to bringing you another episode of a video that we have on path11tv.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's show. If you haven't already, please subscribe and rate and review the Path 11 podcast in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, this podcast is made possible by our sponsor, Path 11 TV. Visit path11tv.com to start a 7-day free trial and start streaming over 100 hours of exclusive video content on consciousness, healing, and life after death. That's path11tv.com, and be sure to use coupon code podcast30 to take 30% off your annual membership. Start satisfying your spiritual curiosity with a membership to Path 11 TV today. Bye for now.